We're standing in one of my favorite cover types for whitetails and wildlife in general, and that's switchgrass. That's what this is right here. What I really love about switchgrass is a true base cover. And what a base cover does is it's actually there all year long. A lot of CRP fields, pheasant mixes right now on March 22nd are laying flat on the ground. They're not holding any pheasants, certainly, and they're not holding any rabbits, and of course they're not hiding any deer. And so this is a true base cover, base structure of cover for wildlife, including whitetails. If it's still standing in March, if it's still standing in December, if it's still standing in January, it's cover, it's true cover. If it's laying flat, it is not cover. So imagine the wildlife that depend on that cover in the summer and in the fall, and then only to have that cover lay flat on the ground and disappear when they actually need it the most. This pheasant patch right here, this is only about an acre on this half of the field, that's planted in primarily switchgrass, is the only pheasant cover in the area for a few miles in any direction. This actually supports a sustainable pheasant population, and that's what this landowner has really targeted. But at the same time, as you can imagine, the trails that are crisscrossing through here and the whitetails that relate to this on a daily basis, there's a huge number that focus on this area. But it's not just the switchgrass. You know, any switchgrass, it doesn't matter if it's switchgrass, if it's big blue stem, little blue stem, Indian grass, any variety of grass, if it's planted in one area, don't fool yourself and tell you that's diversity. If it's all grass, it's still all grass. It's a monoculture of grass. This area in particular, we have the base structure of cover, which there's really in the north half of the country not another grass besides switchgrass that you can plant in a native grass setting like this. It's actually going to support wildlife for the entire year and be structure. But at the same time in this setting, we have a mix of sumac, gray dogwood, hardwood regeneration. We even have a watershed right here, a small water hole here down at the bottom. We have a lot of diversity happening in this one spot. And that is true diversity. Not several types of grass in one blend. That's just a monoculture. Don't fool yourself. But when you have hardwoods, hardwood regeneration, shrubs, briars, grasses taking place in one spot, goldenrod, ragweed, that's actually diversity. That's not a monoculture. So what I recommend on client parcels, instead of planting a CRP mix in 20 acres and letting it lay flat for half the year, not supporting any type of wildlife, is to actually take that 20 acres, use a base structure of cover. For example, this switchgrass, maybe even some type of conifer. And again, conifer, it doesn't matter if it's white pine, red pine, white spruce, Norway spruce, and you mix it all together, folks, that's not diversity. That's just a bunch of conifer, still a monoculture. But you take that 20-acre field, use a structure of switchgrass to hide 40 to 50, 60% of early successional growth on the inside. I like to promote that in the form of pockets. So there might be 1/8 acre pockets, 1/4 acre pockets, 1 acre pockets that contain shrubs and briars, woody regeneration in the form of shrubs and trees, and then of course broadleaves. You can simply do that inside the switchgrass by taking those shapes and little configurations on the inside of the switchgrass and then killing it with a grass-specific herbicide and allowing that early successional growth to come in. That'll create the food value that the deer need. The wildlife need will create those openings that the pheasants need. The pheasants will rely on those edges. There's tons of food for them, and then they can dive into the switchgrass when they need the cover. Same with rabbits. But at the same time, you're not creating a monoculture. You're actually using the structure, a quality structure like switchgrass, to hide those diversity pockets on the inside. And then you're creating a really high upland blend within that 20-acre field and actually supplying a type of cover that will be there for the entire year. You're not going to let those wildlife species down when they need it the most. So that's what we're looking at today. I love this field. We were scouting it yesterday and we kicked out a rooster pheasant, which is awesome to see in Southwest Wisconsin here because we don't have a lot in this area. But if you can get all these things to take place in one location like the landowner has here, then you're going to have a huge amount of wildlife that is focusing on us every day. Your focus might be on whitetails, you'll have small game and pheasants. Your focus might be on a pheasant population, you're going to have whitetails and rabbits. And if you're focusing on rabbits and small game cover, don't be surprised if you have some pheasants and some whitetails. This type of cover is great for all types of wildlife, and it truly does when you have switchgrass, when you have shrubs, when you have pockets of hardwood regeneration, and you even have some ornamental grasses that are planted behind here for a little bit more structure. That truly equals diversity. And that's what I suggest you plant on your property, whether your goal is whitetails, pheasants, or small game.